All right, guys, Eric Polzin here with 905 Sports. Going to be getting into another NFL DFS video touching on the value plays here for Week 10. Now, there are a decent amount of good enough value plays, but a lack of yes, we need to play that guy for sure, okay? Which is good. I see that as a good thing because then there isn't anyone that is going to be too chalky just yet. You never know. Injuries can happen, which opens up value on the slate, okay? And I'll touch on that as well while we're going into this. So if you guys enjoy this coverage, make sure to give a like and subscribe. That helps me be able to help you guys out more. If you guys are interested in becoming a 9to5 member, the link is in the description below. All right, let's get into this value plays video. So as always, I do want to start off with the quarterback position. Just going to be looking at players that are going to be below 6K. Russell Wilson is someone I do think that you can play going against the Tennessee Titans, a defense that can get beat, especially via the run. We just saw Patrick Mahomes rush for a bunch of yards against them. Obviously, Russell Wilson has been someone that has been rushing the ball a little bit more. So there are going to be some rushing lanes there for him. I think having the bye week is going to be good for him as well. One more week to be, healthier. That's always a good thing. And, gets a great matchup. All of his receivers and tight ends are this is the healthiest that offense has probably been all season. And so at 5.9, he is someone that I do think has the possibility to go for 20 DK points, just not expecting it. From there, I don't mind the idea of Jared Goff, going against the Chicago Bears, who, since they got rid of a lot of their defensive weapons, their top two defensive players, kind of struggled, It wouldn't be shocking to see Jared Goff have one of the games that he had earlier on the season where he's getting around 20 DK points. Obviously not expecting that. He is a player that has just not been throwing the ball enough to sustain himself as a DFS or fantasy asset. Could happen. Not expecting it to. Trevor Lawrence is a play that I do like a lot going against the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a matchup-based play, a play in which I think Trevor Lawrence can take advantage of. The thing with last week for Trevor Lawrence is he was a good passer. 80% completion percentage is pretty good. Had a passing touchdown, rushed the ball a lot. They just didn't need him to throw the ball a ton. Travis Etienne did a great job on the ground. And could he do that again this week? He can. But also at the same time, they are playing the Kansas City Chiefs. I kind of expect them to be playing with the lead, so I expect the Jaguars to be playing from behind, so I expect Trevor Lawrence to be getting more closer to 40 passing attempts, which is always what I want to look for when I'm playing a quarterback. From there, obviously, Jacoby Brissett, I don't think it'd be a DFS video if I didn't touch on the quarterback going against the Miami Dolphins. Probably going to be a little bit lower owned than he should be. He has been a consistent quarterback, although last week was the first week in which he went for over 20 DK points, and that was mostly just due to a rushing touchdown. The Bengals game was a weird game. He didn't have to throw the ball a lot. Miami's a good offense. Kind of expect Miami to show up unlike the Bengals did. If that's the case, then Brissett should be throwing the football a lot more. The problem is the last 2 weeks, the defense has been pretty good against, pretty good offenses. So game script wise, might not actually be there like you would think it would be. Maybe they do hinder the Miami offense, which makes Cleveland be able to run the ball a little bit more. Thus, Brissett wouldn't be as good of a play. I don't mind Kenny Pickett just in the sense that, coming off of a bye, that should help him a little bit. Is going to be someone that is going to scramble the football. I'm curious to see how the Saints perform on Monday Night Football. I'm recording this on Monday evening before Monday Night Football takes off, so I can release this either after the game or on Tuesday morning for you guys. So I'm curious as to see how the Saints do. Obviously, if the Saints defense does poorly, then I want to be on Kenny Pickett a little bit more. If the Saints defense does well, then obviously Kenny Pickett, not someone you're going to be particularly going out of your way to play. But we can see, guys, the last few games, a lot of passing attempts, 38, 44, 18 against Tampa, didn't like that, and then 52 in week 5 against Buffalo. So the passing attempts can be there. Maybe the bye week came at a good time. Maybe you can rush the ball a little bit more. Maybe you can throw the ball a little bit more. Could be someone you're looking at playing value price point wise. And then I hate to say it, but I don't hate the idea of Sam Ehlinger. He struggled against New England. Honestly, New England, tough defense. That's the worry. Only made one mistake. That's a good thing. Now against the Raiders, which the Raiders have been a matchup in which has made a lot of quarterbacks look good. We love the fact that he's had 5 and 6 rushing attempts. That's a good thing. So, it wouldn't be shocking to see him get 50 rushing yards. Maybe he throws for a touchdown. If you get 200 passing yards, a touchdown, and 50 rushing yards, we will take that at 5K. Obviously not something you're going crazy with, but value price point wise, that's what we're looking at. See, that's what I mean. We don't have yes, we need to play that guy. Although Trevor Lawrence, I kind of think is that. But after that, it's just a bunch of, you can find reasons why to play them. That's kind of week 10 right now. So running back wise, I'm just going to be looking at below 6K for you guys. So starting with Deion Jackson, if JT is out, you kind of just have to play Deion Jackson. He played over 60% of the snaps, 63% of the snaps last week. Obviously a tough matchup against the Patriots, okay? That was a matchup you were avoiding. We've seen him do really well in a matchup you want to be targeting. Jacksonville, obviously dominating the passing game that game, but the Raiders are a defense that you want to be targeting. So Deion Jackson at 5.4. If he is starting, aka if Jonathan Taylor's out, then yes, that's a great price point. Then you just have to play Deion Jackson. From there, I do want to point out Jeff Wilson Jr. had 49% of the snaps, whereas Raheem Mostert only 47% of the snaps. And that was Jeff Wilson's first week in that Miami offense. So maybe another week under his belt, maybe gets a little bit more snaps. Maybe we see that tick up to 60%, maybe 55%. If that happens in this matchup against Cleveland. Now, I know I just was saying, Cleveland's defense has been a little bit better recently, and it has. But at the same time, they let Gus Edwards go off against them after not playing football for like a year and a half. Now, yes, Joe Mixon just went off last week, and I don't really know how to explain it because the Bengals should have went off against Cleveland and their rush defense. It was strange. The thing is, I don't think the defense has improved that much. Okay. And I do think Jeff Wilson Jr., if he is going to be getting let's say 15 opportunities, maybe gets a little bit more opportunities, he can easily go for around 15 DK points once again. And at that price point would be an interesting play. Devin Singletary has probably been the most frustrating 70% plus snap getter in the best offense in football because he has not had any touchdowns. And every game, it seems like he could have a big game, and he just doesn't. Worth mentioning, but not someone you're going crazy with. And I do just want to point out Kylan Hill, okay? If Aaron Jones is inactive in this game, which I do expect him to be active, but if he is inactive, then it might be Hill being the RB2 in that offense. We have seen that RB2 be somewhat valuable. Obviously, A.J. Dillon been getting about 50% of the snaps. I wouldn't think Hill would get that, but maybe gets right around 35% of the snaps, gets a few targets in the passing game. Could be someone that catches 4 passes and gets 40 yards, dump offs and whatnot. Could be okay, but DraftKings priced him up. If he was 4K, we would love, I shouldn't say love it, but it'd be much more intriguing. Receiver-wise, we have a decent amount of, I guess I would call them sleepers, like Deontay Johnson. No one's probably going out of their way to play Deontay Johnson, even though the targets are going to be there. Once again, I think that offense, just another week coming off the bye, it should be a little bit better. That's kind of what I'm expecting. Courtland Sutton, man, guys, if you can, try to trade for Courtland Sutton in your season-long leagues. Courtland Sutton has a bunch of great matchups coming up, and he's had a couple of down weeks, so some people might not be high on him. He is the receiver number 1 in this offense. I know Judy has done well, and kind of since Dulcich has came back, Courtland Sutton has struggled, but the schedule coming up is great, and Sutton is the number 1, and people probably might not even notice that. He is a good receiver. We know that. Had a great stretch at the start of the season. Went through a lull, coming off of a bye. I think they're going to realize they need to get him the ball. They need to force him some more targets. Great matchup against Tennessee Titans. If he is someone that's not high owned, aka if he's a sleeper, I like him a lot at that price point. He is someone that I think will get 7 targets. Great matchup. Someone I do want to play. Darnell Mooney was someone that I gave you guys as a play last week. Strong play, 8 targets, had a touchdown finally. I said, he is someone that's just due for a touchdown. Given the matchup, I kind of think it's going to happen. And honestly, it could happen again against Detroit this week. The talent has always been there. We know that. The talent has been there. The price point, probably right this week, just with how much the Bears are throwing the ball, but he should be a strong price point play still. He has the upside to go for 20 DK points. He's another one of those players that I like a lot on this slate. And then from there, honestly, if I like Darnell Mooney, then I probably have to like Chase Claypool a little bit, who, guys, on 35% of the snaps, saw 6 targets, and they got him a rushing attempt. Let's just say he gets 60% of the snaps in this game. He could get 10 targets, okay? It was pretty clear that when he was on the field, they were trying to get him involved. We'll see if that happens again against Detroit. That's obviously going to be a good matchup. He is someone that, even with the Steelers, they try to get him the ball into his hands, okay? Bears try to do that. Could be a sleeper pick on this slate, especially at that price point. And then DPJ, just a strong price point for a guy that's playing so many snaps, around, let's just say 80 to 90% of the snaps is kind of what I'm expecting in this game. You can see his last 4 games, highly consistent production. You're not looking for someone to break the slate, although against Miami, maybe you are. Playing a lot of snaps, could get 7 targets, could get a touchdown. Just been a consistent producer, and honestly, just a little bit too cheap. Given the match, it probably should be priced at 5K. And then 2 more players here. Torrey with the Packers, with Romeo Doubs, probably going to be ruled out, and with Christian Watson. I don't think he sustained a concussion, but I think he was in that concussion protocol, the Tua concussion protocol rule, if you will, where it definitely seemed like he should lead the game. So I don't think he's going to be active. I think he's going to sit out this week, Watson. So it should be Torrey operating as the receiver, kind of 3, I guess, if you will. Sammy Watkins, Allen Lazard, and Torrey. He's looked good. I mean, he played in 38% of the snaps last week, had 4 targets, nearly had a touchdown as well. Rodgers slightly underthrew him, which tough play. Great play by the defender, but he could have had that. Obviously, he had that fumble at the end of the game. That's rough. I think if he makes that play, His ownership is spiking a lot more because people are hyped about him, and the just kind of momentum as well. So might be a strong kind of price point play for you on that slate. And then Philip Dorsett, another player that was so close to having a touchdown. It was frustrating because if Davis Mills just hits him in stride or just puts an NFL throw on him, it's an easy touchdown. It's a walking touchdown. Instead, he had to just, go over his shoulder and try to make the catch. Still, at this price point, could be a strong price point play. That is, if Nico Collins is out and if Brandon Cooks are out, okay? We need to have those two out or else probably not going to be the best play. It could happen again, though. Like, what's going on with Cooks is strange. It does seem like Nico Collins could sit. So he's a guy that's seen 83 and 77% of the snaps the last 2 weeks and 5 targets the last 2 weeks. Price point-wise, not terrible. And now moving on into tight ends, I'm going to be looking at the New York Giants. Tanner Hudson is someone that 2 weeks ago played in 72% of the snaps and did get 5 targets, okay? Did take over as the tight end 1 in that offense with Daniel Bellinger out. If he is out again, then I think Tanner Hudson at 2.6 is just a play that you're probably going to have to make. And I will say Brock Wright as well, the tight end for the Detroit Lions. He's a tight end play that I liked last week. Only had 1 target, okay? That wasn't good. But he did play in 80% of the snaps, okay? And if you just look at the touchdowns for the Detroit Lions, where did they come? They came from 2 tight ends, okay? Could that have easily have went to Brock Wright instead? They could have, because they were design plays, okay? So those plays could have went to Brock Wright, and then, we'd have been very happy with him as a minimum price tight end play. We love the snaps there. Value price point wise, that's what you like. You're not going out of your way to play him this week, but if you need to play someone cheap, other than Tanner Hudson, he'd be someone that I'm looking at. Defensively, right now, I'm just rolling with the Vikings. It sounds weird. I hope I can find something else that I like a little bit more. Maybe there's some injury news that pops up, but for now, they're a defense that hasn't went negative thus far this season. I'm always looking for the lowest price defense that's not going to go negative. That's what I'm looking at right now. I do think the Jaguars are going to struggle. All right, that's all I have for you guys for this value plays video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do. Give me that like and subscribe. That helps me be able to put out more content for you guys. If you guys want to become a 95 member, click the link in the description below. That includes access to the premium golf package, which is what the membership is designed for, but it also includes add-ons like the NFL and NBA DFS DraftKings lineup optimizer for you guys. All right, thanks for watching. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.